All right, welcome everyone to our 6 o'clock free Friday night class here. My name is Becky. We are going to be doing a Hatha Yoga basics class. I'll throw in some options to make the class a little bit stronger, but always going with your body, staying at the pace that feels good to you. It'll be, I think, a 60-minute class. I might go a few minutes over. I want to give you guys a nice opportunity to have a little guided relaxation at the end and help us let go of our Friday, let go of our week, really. Let go of our whole week and just kind of float into our weekend here. So I want to give us an opportunity to do that. So we're going to start seated. If you're not already, find yourself in a comfortable seated position. If you want to, use a blanket or a pillow, a block, something to sit up on, lift the hips up a little bit more. Feel free to do that. If you're comfortable on the floor, that's absolutely fine as well. Find your sit bones, rooting down into your mat, into your blanket. Feel that the spine lengthening, crown of the head reaching towards the sky. Take a deep breath in, feeling that length in the spine. And as you exhale, let the shoulders drop down. Begin to let go. Peel away some layers. So we'll do that a few times, just feeling this nice breath, this lengthening in the spine. As you exhale, feel this whole layer around you just peeling off. We'll do that a few times, letting that breath come in. As you exhale, letting go of our day, letting go of our week, letting go of any physical tension and stress. Another breath in with that exhale, letting go of any of the thoughts that are stuck in our mind. Just tell your mind we're going to come back to those later after class. Take that in. One more breath in. Exhale any feelings, any strong emotions, just calming the body, peeling it away. Take one more breath in. Exhale, feeling your whole body settle. Rooting, grounding down here in your pose. Close your eyes. Feel any sensations in the body. And being aware of how we're feeling before class. What's still talking to us? What might we be having a hard time letting go of? And it's okay. There's no right or wrong. Noticing these temporary situations around us, our physical feelings, our body, our mind, our thoughts, our emotions. All of these are layers on top of us, the self. I'm going to walk you into a short opportunity here to do a little bit of breath practice. So relax your diaphragm, relax your abdomen, let the belly fill with breath. This nice low belly. As you exhale, draw that navel back into the spine. And take a few breaths here. Each time maybe feeling a little bit more space in that low belly. Let all the organs relax down, making as much space as possible. It might feel a little different if we're not used to breathing into our belly. That's okay. One more time into that low belly. Filling it as full as we can. And exhaling slowly. On your next breath, let that belly fill again. Then let your ribs start to open. Let the breath move up towards your chest. And exhale, let it recede back down. We'll slowly start to feel more breath each time. So let that belly really open and fill. Then let the ribs start to open. Maybe more and more so the breath starts to come a little bit deeper into the chest. Exhale, receding back down, belly empties last, drawing the navel to the spine. So that belly initiates the breath, moves up into the ribs, and ribs move out to the sides of the room. Chest starts to lift. Nice and slow. With control, exhaling. So just do this a few more times on your own. Each time, really feeling that breath. Noticing the space that it's creating, finding a little bit more space each time. With control, your inhales and your exhales. One more breath. Nice and full. Feel it reach up to the collarbones. With the exhale, with control. Actually, let's do one more breath. Not quite ready to give up yet. Nice belly fills. Ribs open and expand. Chest fills, the collarbones lift. Nice and slow with the exhale. Drawing the navel all the way back to the spine. Go ahead and relax your breath. Let that natural rhythm take back over. Notice how your breath feels after this short practice. Stretching and strengthening the lungs just like every other muscle in our body. As well, this deep breath and breathing practices help to create this relaxation response in the body. Help us to calm down, engage our parasympathetic nervous system. So always a great tool. All right, let's find a comfortable breath that's a little bit deeper than our natural breath. Doesn't have to be our full maximum breath. I want you to get used to breathing into the low belly and letting it rise up through the ribs, up towards the chest. And exhale, feeling that recede back down, belly empties last. So just a more relaxed breath, something we can keep with us through our practice. And keep breathing. Let's go ahead and open our eyes. Moving into our practice. With your next inhale, lift your arms up overhead. Reaching towards the sky. Stay here for breath. Exhaling. Inhaling. Maybe lifting that chest a little bit more. Arching the spine slightly. With an exhale, the arms back down. Starting to warm up that spine just a little bit. Inhaling. Reaching, gazing up towards the hands if you can, so the gaze goes up towards the sky. We don't want to let the neck fall back, keeping the neck long, but lifting that chest. Exhaling. One more time. Go ahead and inhale, both hands up overhead. Keep your gaze towards the front of the room. As you exhale, drop the left hand and let the right hand reach over towards the left side, getting a side body stretch. Take a breath into that right side body, sinking that right hip down to the mat. With your next inhale, right arm floats up, left arm floats up. Exhale, right arm down, left arm reaches over. Press that left hip bone down into the floor. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, left arm down, right arm over towards the left. Take one inhale and exhale, sinking into that side body stretch a little bit deeper. And inhaling, both arms up. Exhale, right arm down, left arm reaches over. Nice side stretch. Keep the chest lifted. We don't want to be rounding down. Feeling that nice stretch through the side of the body. One more breath in and out. Inhaling, both arms up. Just finding a gentle seated twist. Take your arms down, gently twist over to the left. So that right arm comes down in front, left arm in back. Maybe it's just behind the spine. Inhale, find that long spine. With an exhale, feel your rib cage moving over towards the left. So starting that twist lower in the spine. With each inhale, lengthening the spine. With each exhale, finding just a micro movement. A little bit more space. Keeping that spine nice and long. On your next inhale, arms come up as we float through center. Exhale over to the right. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. As you exhale, Feel the rib cage moving around to the right. Each inhale, we lengthen. With each exhale, maybe we find that micro movement. Maybe the ribs can move just a little bit more. Inhale, both arms up, coming back through center. And exhale, arms down, all the way down to the lap. We'll just take the gaze over to the left. Inhale through center. Exhale, gaze over to the right. Just starting to warm up the neck. Coming through center, looking to the left. Maybe each time we turn our head, we can look a little bit further back. Looking over the shoulder. Exhaling. Inhale through center, exhale. One more time each side. Keeping the spine long. Coming back through center. Let's go ahead and find our way onto our hands and knees. You can move your blanket or prop out of the way. If you want to have your blocks just handy at the top of your mat, go ahead and have them there for a little bit later. We're going to start here, knees underneath your hips, wrists underneath your shoulders, or an inch or two in front if that feels more comfortable. Knees are hip distant. Tops of the feet on the mat. We're going to move through a little bit of cat and cow. So as you inhale, I want you to drop the belly. Soften your elbows slightly. Feel the crown of your head lifting, lengthening kind of that neck and spine, reaching towards the sky. Tailbone also lifts and lengthens. As you exhale, rounding, you can press the mat away. Arms a little more active. Chin in towards the chest. Tailbone down towards the earth. So we inhale and drop the belly. Soften the elbows a little bit. Tail in the crown of the head towards the sky, but keeping length in that cervical spine. We don't want to just crank our head back. We want to lead with the crown of the head. Exhaling, rounding. Moving nice and slow. Just moving with your breath. Inhale as we draw the belly down, tail and the head lift. Exhale. You might notice each time we do this, you again have a little bit more space, can go a little bit further into that stretch. Maybe it feels a little different. Maybe it feels a little bit easier. One more time each direction. Go ahead and come to neutral. We're just going to make a few circles with the hips. So I want you to draw the hips in a circle. You can start out smaller and start to widen if that feels okay. If the shoulders move a little bit side to side as well as your hips are moving, that's okay. So this is a little bit of an organic movement. Not everyone's going to look the same. Warming up our hip joints, our knee joints, our wrists, and our shoulders, as well as our spine. So getting a lot of movement here throughout the body. Make sure everything feels okay. When you're ready, come back through center. We're going to go in the opposite direction. So starting to make those circles on the smaller side. And as that feels comfortable, gradually making the circles a little bit larger. One more time. And coming back through neutral. If anything moved around, go ahead and bring your knees back under your hips. Hands underneath your shoulders, about shoulder width apart. We're going to start to strengthen from our core and our lower back while we're here. So I want you to step your left foot back. Keep your toes on the mat for just a moment. Bring your core in. So find yourself nice and strong here. Tailbone pointing back towards the back of the room. Move up on my mat just a teeny bit. Once you have that, go ahead and lift your legs so it's parallel to the mat. If you find yourself having a hard time here, you're dropping that belly down, go ahead and keep your toes on the mat, okay? So we're just going to build onto these poses. So you stop where you're at because you want to keep that integrity in the spine so that we are strengthening the back and the core here. That feels good here. You can lift that right arm. So opposite arm and leg. Left leg is lifted, right arm is lifted. Again, come back to that core. We lifting here. Nice and strong. Take an inhale, reaching the hand and leg away from each other. Exhale, hand and knee to the mat. We'll do that on the right side, stepping that right foot back. Keep the toes on the ground for a moment. Engage your core. Feel that nice, strong core. Then lift the leg, making sure we're still there. If you want to add on, lifting that left arm. And just check back in, making sure we're nice and strong here. Inhale, reach the fingertips and the heel of the foot away from each other. As you exhale, hand and knee down to the mat. Left side again, stepping that back. Engage the core, then lift. Lifting that right arm if it feels okay. Again, always keeping the hand down or even the foot down if you need to. So just building onto this. Take an inhale, reach the hand and the heel of the foot away. As you exhale, nice and slow, draw the elbow and the knee towards each other. Inhale, reach them. As you exhale, elbow and the knee. Now again, if your hand's down, just drawing that knee in towards the forehead and reaching it back. If you have both going, that arm, elbow and the knee come towards each other and reach out. One more time, nice and slow, with control here. Inhaling and exhaling, hand and the knee down to the mat. Right side one more time, that heel first, engage the core, then lift. If you want to add on, that left arm reaches, take an inhale, pressing the heel of the foot back, right fingers, or the left fingertip, reach forward. As you exhale with control, elbow and knee together. Inhale as you reach, exhale with control. One more time. Inhale, reaching the hand and the heel away. Exhale, hand and knee down to the mat. We'll do this one more time on each side, a little bit differently. So that left foot goes back, engage the core, then lift. Lifting that right hand if it's comfortable. Staying here. If you want an extra challenge, the hand and the leg move away from the center line of the body. So the leg just moves out to the left. You're going to start to engage the obliques here. Keeping that leg parallel to the mat. Feel that core lifting and engaging. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, arm and leg come back to center and drop down. And we'll do that one last time on the opposite side. Right foot back, engage the core, lift the leg, lift that left arm. If we're nice and strong here, go ahead and move that left arm and the right leg away from the center line of the body. Left arm's moving out to the left, right leg moving out to the right. Engage your obliques. Make sure that right hip isn't dropping. Your core's nice and strong here. Tailbone still pointing down to the back of the room. Take one more inhale. Exhale, realign them to center, and exhale, take the knee and the hand down to the mat. We're going to take a wide knees child's pose. So widen your knees a little bit. Big toes stay together. Hips back towards the heels. Arms resting out at front or wherever might be comfortable. Letting those hips fall back. If your forehead doesn't reach the mat, stack your palms. Make fists or use a pillow or a block or blanket. Something so you can let your forehead relax all the way down to the mat. Take a deep breath into the whole back side of the body. As you exhale, the chest falls forward, surrendering down to the earth a little bit deeper. A few nice deep breaths. As you're ready with your next inhale, nice and slow, starting to lift the hips, lift the torso, bring the knees back, hip distance apart. Go ahead and start to walk your hands forward. I'm going to take you into this puppy dog pose. So the hands are reaching forward, the chest comes down towards the mat. The forehead doesn't need to reach the mat in this stretch. If you're close enough and you want to drop the head down, that's absolutely fine. So your hands are more active. They're reaching out, palms pressing in to the mat. Feeling this stretch in the upper back. So we're getting this nice spinal extension here in the upper back. And the chest is moving forward. Heart opener. Back bend for this upper thoracic spine. As you're ready, you can start to walk your hands back. We're going to go ahead and move into our first downward dog. So if downward dog is not something that you're comfortable with, you can always come down into child's pose or that puppy dog pose. Both are nice alternatives. If you're okay with a downward dog, tucking your toes under, lifting your knees, your hips back. Pressing into the pads just underneath your fingers. Into those knuckles. Go ahead and walk your dog, just extending one leg. You can nice and deeply bend one leg and then the other, even letting the hips sink down and reach up. Finding some movement here. As it becomes more comfortable, starting to press that chest down towards the thighs. Go ahead and come up onto both of your tippy toes and exhale your heels down. Finding this downward dog. Go ahead and lift your left leg up towards the sky. Stay for a breath and then take another inhale. As you exhale, moving that left foot in between your hands. So if you were not in downward dog, go ahead and just step that left foot. Now we're going to lower our right knee. Now make sure that your right knee is as far back as is comfortable. So we want to get a nice opener here in the hips and potentially stretch out the front hip flexor on that right foot. If you need to, though, you can just keep your knee a little bit closer. Just depending how flexible you are, you can move that knee here or there. Now, if you have blocks and you want to use them, this is a nice way just to find a little bit more extension in your spine. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, try and let your hips just sink. A little bit of a passive pose here in our hips. We don't need to lift ourselves out with our legs right now. We're just going to let the hips kind of sink. We have stability in our hands and that back leg. Couple of deep breaths. Now, if you can, go ahead and begin to put more strength into that front left foot. If you need to move that right knee a little bit closer, that's okay too. We're going to start to take our weight up out of our hands. So nice and strong in that front leg. Top of the foot, and that right foot is pressing down into the mat. Hands are maybe up to the hips on the knee, or maybe we can lift them up overhead. If you find all of those a little bit challenging, maybe just find your blocks on a little higher scale so you have a little bit more balance, but you can lift the chest and the torso up. As you inhale, reaching the hands up towards the sky if you're there. Press into that front foot a little bit more. Stay nice and strong. Try and keep your hips even. Maybe that left hip is creeping forward. Pull it back slightly. Tailbone down towards the floor. Your core is pulling in. Nice and strong. This is a strong pose. Take one more inhale, reaching your hands up towards the sky. Slight back bend. As you exhale, hands down to the mat. Either down to the mat or on blocks, but we're going to plant our right hand and open our left hand up. Find your breath. Take one more inhale, reaching that left arm up towards the sky. As you exhale, rainbow it down. Move your blocks out to this side. We're going to go ahead and tuck those right toes under, lifting that knee and stepping back into our downward dog. If you don't want to come into the downward dog, just keep the knee on the ground. Take that left knee down, and either finding child's pose, puppy dog, moving through a few cat and cows. Your option here. Pedaling the feet if you'd like to. Take a moment to come up onto both of your tippy toes, and then exhale, press your heels back. And remember, in your downward dog, you can always bend your knees as much as you need to. Your knees do not need to be straight. Inhale, lift that right leg up. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, guide it in between your front hands. If that takes you a few steps, that's okay. If you need to grab it with your arm and help bring it up there, that's absolutely fine as well. Knee lowers to the mat. If you want to, using those blocks for a little support, feel free to do that. I always like that so I can lift up out of my chest a little bit, extend my spine, yet I have that support with the block so I can let my hips sink down. Find that nice stretch. Make it a little bit more of that passive pose in your hips, finding the front of that left hip flexor. Nice deep breath. When you're ready, start to press that right foot into the mat more, finding that strength. If you need to adjust that left knee, you want to move it forward a little bit more, that's okay. A little added stability. Again, we're going to start to lift up out of our hands, or if you need to, just taking the blocks onto a higher position is fine too. Hands maybe to the hips, or if you can, overhead. Feel that strength pressing into that front foot, pressing into the top of the foot, that left foot. Core engages, tailbone rooting down towards the earth. Chest lifting, slight back bend. Feel the strength in your legs. One more inhale, reaching up. As you exhale, hands down to the mat. Either all the way down to the mat, or if you want to keep your left hand on a low block, you can do that. We're going to plant that left hand to reach the right arm up towards the sky. Finding a twist. Keeping your breath moving. One more inhale. Exhale, right arm comes back down to the mat. And tuck those left toes under, lifting the knees, stepping back into our downward dog. Again, always that option to keep your knees on the ground, coming through tabletop. Finding child's pose, puppy dog. Walking the feet or finding stillness if that works for you. Taking yourself up onto your big toes. And then exhale, pressing the heels back. And finding your downward dog. And bending the knees if you need to, a little more. We're going to go through that series again. This time I'm going to give you some options to be in a high lunge and keep that the knee lifted. So your option is always to keep that knee on the ground as well. So inhale, go ahead and lift that left foot up. As you exhale, gaze up towards your hands, placing that left hand between the left foot, between your hands. Now your option to keep your back right knee lifted or lower it down to the mat. And also engaging with blocks if you need to. This time we're going to, everybody, really find that strength in that front left leg. Lifting up out of that pose either to your hips or lifting your hands up overhead. Bend that back knee just slightly. If you're in a high lunge, I want you to focus on engaging your core and taking your tailbone down towards the earth. Words are escaping me. Sometimes when we have tightness in our hip flexors, especially when we try and straighten that back leg, we're arching our spine a lot. We're arching that low back. So giving yourself a little bit of a bend, we can find that integrity in the low back. Take an inhale, reaching the hands up, chest lifts. As you exhale, hands down to the mat. Again, keeping that right hand down on the mat or on a block, lifting that left arm. Find your breath. One more inhale, reaching that left arm up. As you exhale, left arm down to the mat. We're going to step that left foot back to meet the right, back into our downward dog. If your knees are down, again, either stepping into a downward dog or keeping with your tabletop, child's pose, puppy dog. Inhale, lift that right leg up. Exhale. Go ahead and step it through in between the hands. Your option to keep that left knee lifted or lower it down. And maybe it's different on this side. Nice and strong on those right front foot. That right leg. Lifting your hands up, torso. Maybe hands to the hips, maybe overhead. Keeping a little bit of a bend in that back left knee. Pointing the tailbone down towards the earth. Core is engaged. Arms lifting. Nice and strong. Feel that strength in your legs. Maybe we have a little bit of wobbling. Muscles are building, learning. Balance is forming. Take one more inhale, looking up towards the sky a little bit more, lifting the chest. As you exhale, hands down to the mat, keeping that left hand planted, right arm up to the sky. One more inhale, reaching that right arm up. Exhale, down to the mat. Stepping that right foot back to downward dog or finding tabletop, child's pose. Always an option. Take an inhale, coming up onto your tippy toes. Exhale, heels back. Pressing your chest a little bit more towards your thighs. Maybe finding more of an extension in the upper back. Hands are pressed firmly into the mat. One more inhale. With an exhale, go ahead and drop your knees. Keeping your knees together this time, untucking your toes. We'll all find our way into child's pose, letting your hips sink down. Forehead again comes all the way down to the mat. Stack your palms if you need to. Use a pillow. Some support for that forehead. If you'd like to, you can take your hands alongside. We'll get a little bit more rounding in the spine with our knees closer together. If that's not comfortable for you, you can always find that wide knees child's pose as well. Take a few nice deep breaths. As you're ready, start to walk your hands back up towards the front of your mat, through towards the side of the body, reaching them forward. So you inhale, lifting the hips, lifting the torso. We're going to get a stretch in here for our upper back or thoracic spine. I'm doing our threading the needle pose. I'm going to walk you into it maybe a little bit differently than you've done before. I'm going to face the camera so you can see. Let's get back a little bit here. So keep your left hand down on the mat. We're going to inhale and lift our right arm up towards the sky. I just want to warm up our upper back a little bit before we come down into our pose fully. Take another breath in. Feel how tight that might feel or just where you're at. Maybe it feels fine. Maybe you feel like you can open up your chest fully. Just note where you're at. As you exhale, we're going to come halfway. So you don't bend your left arm. We're not going to bring anything down to the mat. I want you to reach that right arm under and across, keeping your chest and your shoulders lifted. Inhale again, reaching the right arm up towards the sky. So we're going to do that again. We're not going to lower down to the mat. We're going to thread it underneath, keeping our shoulders lifted. Finding that twist in the spine. Inhaling, right arm back up to the mat, up to the sky. One more inhale. Exhale, this time we can come all the way down. So we're going to thread underneath, lower that shoulder down. So if you want to use a pillow or a blanket underneath the head or the shoulder if you need to, feel free to do that. If your shoulder doesn't make it down to the mat with comfort. You can reach that left hand. You can keep it where it is for stability, almost pressing into the mat slightly. You can kind of lift the chest and get a little bit more twist in the upper spine. Sometimes that feels good. Also, option to take that left hand up towards the front of your mat, drawing it straight in front of your body. Third option could be to take it around the body, around the back, coming to try and reach and touch that the top of your right thigh. So all of those options are here in this pose. Find the one that works best for you. And it may be different on either side. Find that deep breath. When you're ready, start to move that right hand back underneath the shoulder if it's moved. Slowly start to press into that as you inhale, reaching that right arm back up towards the sky. Take a moment here to notice how this feels. If it feels any easier, any more open, exhale, go ahead and let the hand come down to the mat. So we'll do that on the opposite side, keeping that right hand grounded. Inhale, lifting that left. Stay here for just a moment. Just feel where you're at. What are we noticing? What's stopping us? Take one more inhale. As you exhale, we're going to come halfway. So we're going to thread underneath, but we're not lowering our shoulders. We're not going to start to bend that right elbow. Inhale, left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, halfway down. So we're reaching over to the right side with that left hand. Then we're inhaling, taking it back up to the sky. Let's do that one more time. Halfway. Inhaling back up. And this time we'll come all the way down. Again, using a pillow or a blanket if you need to. We're going to lower that shoulder all the way down to the ground. Side of the head. Again, that right hand can place underneath that right elbow, pressing into the ground slightly, finding a little bit deeper twist in that thoracic spine if you'd like to. Kind of trying to lift the chest and look up towards the sky. Or maybe taking that hand in front, reaching towards the front of the mat. Or hand behind the back. Your option. Find your breath. I'll start to walk that hand back under the shoulder area. As you're ready, pressing in, take an inhale. Reach that left arm back up to the sky. And just notice if it feels any different. Exhale, hand to the mat. We're going to take one more low lunge here. So stepping that left foot in between the hands. You can use your blocks here if you'd like to. We're going to start to straighten and bend that front left knee. Starting to open up that hip joint a little bit. And then we're going to settle into our half splits. Getting a nice hamstring stretch here. So drawing the hips back. If you want to keep using those blocks, bring them closer to your hips, underneath your shoulders, so you can find a nice tall spine. A little bit of support here. This is always nice to help protect your low back. If you have any low back issues or sensitivities, staying in extension is nice and important. Press that heel. Pull the toes back a little bit. Maybe even pull this left hip back a half an inch. Take an inhale. As you exhale, the chest can draw forward, hinging more at the hips to get a deeper stretch. If it's comfortable in your back and you would like to round over, you're welcome to do that. But again, if you have any low back sensitivities or issues, keeping it in extension is the safest. That nice strong stretch in the hamstrings. And go ahead and point your toes. Trying to move the sole of the foot to the mat. Get a stretch through the top of the foot. Take your toes, keeping your heel where it is. We'll pivot on the heel. Point your toes up towards the left top corner of your mat. And then take your toes and point them to the top right corner of the mat. Stretching out around the ankle. Bring it back to center. And then go ahead and draw the toes back again, flexing the foot. Take one more inhale. Exhale, sinking into that stretch a little bit more. Go ahead and start to bend that front knee. Taking your blocks back. We'll start to move that left knee back. And go ahead and take that right foot forward. Again, using your blocks, if you want a little bit of support, we'll start to straighten and bend that right knee. Starting to open up the hip. Start to find a stretch in that hamstring. And then when you're ready, staying there. You can move your blocks, helping to support that extension if you need. Flexing the foot, pressing the toes, pressing the heel down, pulling the toes back. Again, maybe moving that right hip back just a half of an inch. Inhale, lengthen your spine as you exhale your chest, leading with the heart, hinging at the hips, deepening into that stretch. Your option if you want to round forward over the leg or just stay with your back in extension. Deep breath. Point your toes. Try and move the sole of the foot down to the mat. We don't need to bend the knee in order to get the sole of the foot down onto the mat. That's not the point. If that foot stays elevated a little bit, we'll get more of a stretch on the top of the foot, maybe into the shin, into the ankle. Pivoting on the heel, point the toes up towards the top right corner. And then point the toes towards the top left corner of the mat. Come back to center. And then flex that foot again. Take a deep inhale, exhale, sinking into that stretch. Let's go ahead and bend that knee. Step that right knee back to meet the left. It's coming through a brief child's pose. keeping your hands reaching towards the front of the mat. Maybe keeping the head lifted, just finding a nice little break for the hips. Let's go ahead and inhale, lifting the torso. We're going to come onto our backs. Keeping your knees bent for a moment. Just let your whole body relax down. Let the back relax down. Feeling any sensations. Draw your knees into your chest. Feel free to rock them side to side. If it feels comfortable, open up your knees a little wider and continue rocking side to side. Staying here at center, letting your knees open up wide. If you have Happy Baby in your practice and you like to move into that, feel free to lift the soles of the feet up towards the sky, grabbing the outside of your heels. If you want to do this one at a time, you can extend that right leg down, just using that left knee. Maybe you can grab the shin or the calf. Reach up to that outside of the left foot. Go ahead and switch sides if you're doing one leg at a time. If you're in your full Happy Baby, feel free to rock a little bit. And then maybe play with just lengthening one leg and then the other. There's sort of an organic movement here. So if it feels good for you, can do it. If it doesn't feel good, finding something else, it's always welcome. Go ahead and bend both of your knees. Turn your knees in towards your chest, giving them a nice hug. Take your feet down to the mat. We're going to lift the hips, shift them over to the right just a few inches, okay? Take the knees back in towards the chest. Let them drop over to the left. Right arm reaches out to the right side, coming into a recline twist. If your knees don't make it down to the mat, use a pillow or a blanket underneath the knees or in between the knees if that's comfortable. Gaze towards the sky. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, see if you can relax your body into this pose a little bit more. Letting gravity do the work here. These nice spinal twists give a massage for all of our internal organs, all the nerves, moving up and down the spine, the low back, mid back, upper back. Then inhale, start to lift one knee and then the other. Back to center. Place the feet on the mat. We'll lift the hips, shift them over to the left side. Knees in towards the chest. Let them spill over to the right. Left arm extends out to the left. Right arm can be out to the right in a T, or if you want to, place them on top of your knees, wherever that's comfortable. Left arm reaches away. Nice deep breath in. As you exhale and surrender down into this pose, letting go. Wringing out the spine, wringing out any tension we're holding, letting it go. Inhale, start to lift one knee and then the other back to center. Place the feet on the mat, lift the hips, bring them back to neutral. Take a moment here to find any last movement that your body might be asking for. We're going to, in just a moment, find our final resting pose. So if there's any last movement that your body is really calling for, feel free to do that for a moment. And as you're ready, not rushing you out of that, go ahead and start to set yourself up for your final rest. I want to walk you through a little guided relaxation here, just to help us let go of our week, let go of that practice. As you start to make your way into your Savasana, you can bring a pillow or a blanket underneath your knees for a little support, just to give your low back a little break. If you have a lot of sensitivity in your low back and you need a lot more support, always feel free to bend your knees. Take your feet wide and let your knees rest together. That way, this is kind of our half Shavasana, giving you that space in your low back if you need. But if it's okay, you can just extend your legs down or place something underneath the knees. Keep your feet a little wider than your hips. Hands out to the side, a little wider than your shoulders, or maybe it feels good to place them on your abdomen. If you want to place a blanket on top of the body, behind the head, maybe a eye pillow or just a little towel over the eyes to block any light. We'll find our way into a little relaxation. So as you come into this final resting pose, take a moment to just look through the body. What are we noticing? What are the sensations we're feeling? Hopefully we're feeling a little bit of chi flow. Maybe we're feeling some energy moving around, stuff that we've released out of some tight spots. Comes with a lot of toxins in our tight muscles that get bound up. So as we release, we start to release toxins as well. Always drinking water after your practice is really important. But through a visualization, I want you to take your breath. Let it come in through the crown of the head. Okay, and let it just start to swirl in, wash into the body, into the whole body. I feel this breath moving around into all the crevices, grabbing all those toxins, all that dirt, all that dust, all that pain, whatever it's finding in the body. And as you exhale, let it go out the fingertips, let it go out the tailbone, and let it go out the bottom of the feet, just all at the same time. So we'll do this breath a few times, letting that breath move into the body. And this nice cleansing breath, taking a deep breath, swelling the whole body, grabbing all those toxins, all that pain, all that tension. Exhale, letting it go, letting it wash out your body. It's like we're taking this internal shower. One more inhale, filling the whole body with breath, letting it swirl around into all those crevices, all those nooks and crannies. Nice spring cleaning exhale, let it out the fingertips, out the tailbone, out the bottom of the feet. Feel free to do that one more time on your own. As you release, letting go of your breath, letting the body feel heavy, moving through the body. Go ahead and relax the muscles around the scalp, the forehead, the eyes, the jaw is soft, the neck is soft, tops of the shoulders, upper arms and the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the hands, and all the fingers just become heavy, sinking down into the earth. Collarbones are soft, the chest is soft. The heart, the rib cage, and all of your internal organs relax. Navel is soft. The tailbone. Both of your hips sinking into the earth. Upper thighs and the backs of the thighs. Knees and the backs of the knees. Shins and calves. Ankles. Top of the feet. Bottom of the feet. All of your toes. Relaxing. Feeling heavy melting into the earth a little bit deeper. The whole body resting deeper and deeper. Finding this deep sense of peace, rest, comfort, stability, grounding. And resting here for a few moments of silence. Goranga, 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 Goranga. So as you're ready, begin to lengthen your breath. Feel your breath moving to all the corners of your body, into your fingertips and your toes. Bring that awareness and that consciousness throughout the body by moving the fingers and the toes. Taking an inhale, maybe reaching the hands up overhead like a morning stretch. Hands reach back, up overhead, feet reach forward. As you exhale, slowly start to bend the knees. Maybe drawing the knees in towards the chest, giving them a hug. And then roll to one side, cradling yourself here on your side, using your arm as a pillow, or maybe you have a pillow handy. Taking a few breaths. Slowly transitioning. Making our way back into a seat. With care. Moving gently. As you find your seat, keep your eyes closed. Take your awareness back into your body and notice how you're feeling after this practice. What's different within the physical body, than the mind, the heart, our attitude, our emotions? Has anything shifted? And maybe just be aware of this natural breath. Does it feel any different? Is it any easier? Being aware of some of these benefits. You may or may not notice the things that I'm mentioning, and that's okay. These changes can be very subtle, and sometimes they're very noticeable. So being aware of these, we encourage ourselves to continue our practice, continue coming back to these tools. So I'd like to end our class with 3 Gauranga breaths, so we can all hear and repeat this mantra if you'd like to, or you can just listen. But using this Gauranga mantra, just letting it wash over the body, cleansing the heart, cleansing the mind. Gauranga. So go ahead and exhale, let your breath out. We'll inhale, hearing this mantra in the mind, exhaling out loud together. Do it 2 more times. Inhaling. Last one. Take a deep breath in. Taking our hands to our heart. Allowing me to offer my respects to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me in this practice tonight. Namaste. Haribo.